genuine. Yeah, no, but I think we're at that point. I think it's about to take a turn. I think it's going to get better.
Yeah, I thought this episode was much more enjoyable. It looks like everybody's pretty cohesive. Maybe it just took Shep's trauma to bring everybody together and have a few laughs. That's what we needed.
That's not a bad theory. I actually, you know what? I'll expound on that as we get
Oh,
into this.
good expounding.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Scoots McGillicuddy. What's up, dude?
Finally got my goddamn haircut. Couldn't do it.
Ah.
Wasn't gonna be the scapegoat for anybody in case the Eagles lost. And they're like, oh, it's because you got your haircut. I waited. I was committed, fully committed, and now I'm fresh and clean. I feel like I've got 6 pounds off my head.
You also can't argue that the hair was not the reason that we won the Super Bowl because
Correct.
you had there's no evidence that was not the reason. So good job. Way to do it
Thanks.
for the team.
Between that and leaving all of my Christmas decorations up until after the Super Bowl, yeah, the day after the Super Bowl, I took everything down, but it was up the whole time. I wasn't going to change anything. Keep everything the same. Keep the main thing,
Yeah, which used to be a Jalen Hurts reference. Now it's unfortunately a Sam M reference if you watch The Bachelorette. But hey, keep the main thing the main thing. What? Oh, see, we're both in a new season. If you're watching on YouTube, it's baseball season, so we both have our Phillies hats on. We're shifting to our next championship because that's what we do here. We keep the main thing the main thing. We don't celebrate for too long. We got to get our next trophy. So it is baseball season, but we're not here to talk baseball. It's only spring training, even though spring training starts tomorrow. Go Phils. We're here to talk Southern Charm. And like we discussed in the intro, this felt like a turning point, I hope, because this has been slowly getting worse each week, I think. It's like a slow decline.
It's really been, I think it's more indicative of our excitement with this show.
Probably.
We watched the first couple episodes. We were happy the boys were back. We're happy the whole cast is back. We had a couple of gripes here and there, but I feel like it stayed stagnant. Like, I don't think it got worse. I just think that like our expectations started to fall. Yeah. And eventually we just kind of found ourselves in a pit and we're like, how did we get here? Well, it was like 6 straight episodes of the same shit. So this feels like us kind of clawing our way out of that pit with a little bit of laughter at Shep's expense.
And then you also, it feels like certain issues are coming to a head where it needs to be addressed. And that's what I got from the scenes from next week. We didn't get to see like the quick scene from next week of the bros having a talk, Austen and Craig finally hammering out what they need to hammer out, because we got
Can't wait for that.
I can't either. So I'm excited to see that. We have Shep coming to terms with the fact that she's just not that into you, bro. We've got some JT shenanigans that will hopefully wrap that whole thing up. So it seems like all of these fractured storylines are finally coming to a head. And then we can get this group back together. Craig said it on the beach with Madison. It just feels like this whole group is fractured. And that's what we're seeing at home. And that's why this show has taken a weird turn. We still love Southern Charm. I think I can speak for both of us when I say that. We just wanted to get back to middle ground and let's go from there. So hopefully this is the way to do that.
Yeah, we're not being overzealous in the fact that we just wanted to get back to something that's enjoyable consistently. We're not expecting a great Southern Charm season anymore. We just want to be able to look forward to it, have a little bit of fun with it. And it just hasn't been fun in the last couple of weeks, but this is much more fun. I had much more enjoyment watching this episode. I felt like I was one of the boys just laughing at Shep. And that's kind of what we needed.
Yeah, I agree. But why don't we jump right into this? Because Vanita's not there. Vanita's coming the next day. That's what we intro the whole thing with. But the main part of this episode, the only real part of it, there's some side stories here and there, but it's all Sienna and Shep. And as we saw last week, the initial greeting was strange. Like, the energy's very weird. I am taking this whole thing also understanding we're getting all of this information from Shep as far as what the relationship is, how into each other they are. So I always take it with a grain of salt, knowing that it's coming from him. But there's been rumors about Sienna, as we know, doing this for clout, doing this because she's a fan of the show. There's been speculation amongst the group already, so it's not like we're blindsided by the fact that she's actually not into him. But seeing the body language last week, I was like, oof, this is pretty painful here. And they start sitting down to talk. Right. And they haven't seen each other in a month and a half, but he's proclaiming his love for her, all of these other crazy things. And even the way she talks to him, she's like, yeah, well, a lot's happened since then. He's like, wait, what? Like, what happened?
I mean, it started too at the end of last week's episode where he's getting changed and he basically had to beg her to stay in the room with him while he got changed. The whole energy has been off since she got there. And I will say, I am actually more pleased and probably happy that we had the rumors of what Sienna was doing, if she wanted anything out of the relationship, if it was legit or not, instead of just kind of watching Shep go through it while he's back in Charleston, just telling us all of these things. Because, yeah, we probably would have had the back of our head thinking, I don't think this is really going to work. I think Shep's kind of gaslighting us over here, maybe gaslighting himself. But we knew deep down that there was something wrong. She was doing it for the wrong reasons, whatever it may have been. I actually think that's better for us rather than going into this trip being like, oh, fuck, obviously Shep was lying this entire time. I think it's just a completely different experience, but I prefer the one that we got.
I agree with that. That's a good way to put it. But the temperature with the group, everyone saw the body language. Everyone saw that there is clearly a disconnect between what we've been told and what there's actually going on between the two of them. So they're all on high alert after seeing all that. And we get back to Shep and Sienna, and he's like, look, clearly we came in hot, right? We came in really hot. Things got hotter. They got heavier. I truly believe that the universe brought us together, man. Like this was meant to be. We talked about having beautiful kids together and this and that and the other thing. And she says, I didn't know about all of that. I was unaware of these things. I think that there's a middle ground here. Like maybe they were caught up in a moment and she was feeding into it a little bit. Maybe they did come in really hot because she wanted to make a good impression to get onto the show. There's a lot of things you can speculate on here as to what we did not see.
I think what we didn't see was, I mean, they both agreed with the fact that they came in hot. So I think what we saw was probably a one night stand type of hookup where Shep was in the Bahamas or she was up in Charleston. I don't even know where the hell they met. I think they met down in Bahamas.
I think they're in the Bahamas.
I believe so. And they probably met. Maybe she recognized them. She just decided to like say, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go have a fun night with Shep. I'll have a
they met on Raya.
Oh, yeah, they did meet on Raya. That's what it was. Yeah. So that kind of throws everything out. But either way, I still don't think that I don't think that Sienna ever intended on this being much more than what it was. I think that it was probably just going to be a fun story for her. Like, oh, yeah, I hooked up with Shep from Southern Charm. I can go tell my grandmom about this. And then, yeah, I think the idea of doing it for the wrong reasons kind of like seeped into her head because we both agree she's definitely doing this for the wrong reasons. She's trying to be on the show. We talk about it a little bit later where she wants to hang out with the rest of the cast, but not Shep. So obviously there are some ill-founded ideas in her head that she wants to do this for, and she wants to string Shep along. And unfortunately for Shep, he's missing all of this. And it's crazy to us for us to be able to watch this. And obviously, you know, we know what happens. We know what's going on, but we're watching this on TV. We're not even getting the full story. How are we sitting here like, dude, how are you missing all of this? All of the guys that are looking at it, like Craig yesterday, or I guess the day before or whatever, felt like the energy was off as soon as she walked in. He's right. Like we can see the energy through the TV screen. How does Shep not feel it? Like, how is he that blinded by all of this? I just don't understand it. I guess probably because we've never seen Shep do this before and feel this way.
That's a big part of it. I think he's never been on the receiving end of this kind of thing. So he's flummoxed as to how to deal with it. But before we move on from this, before we get to what he says to her, as far as her intentions with this thing, because I think two things can be true. I think Shep has had this a long time coming. I think that he deserves what's going on right now. It's a taste of his own medicine, a little slap in the face. Hey, maybe grow up a little bit with your future endeavors in dating. On the flip side, with her coming out and making this TikTok back-to-back thing, trying to clear the air as to her involvement with the show, her involvement with Whitney, how her and Shep got together, all these things. I 1000% believe that she used Shep as a stepping stone to try to get on TV. I don't think that it was as innocuous as, oh, I can hook up with a Southern Charm guy and that'll be the end of it. It'll be a fun story. Because we find out through her that Whitney reached out to her on Raya, and she's got receipts, and I don't even need receipts to know that was probably
I don't want to
true.
know. I do
right?
not ever want to see his game ever.
No, absolutely not. It'll make me vomit. But I think we can agree that that seems pretty obvious. So she also said that when she saw him in person, he's a major catfish on Raya, which is not surprising at all either.
Yeah.
So all of that checks out.
He looks like an old woman.
He does. He really does. But when she gets to the Shep part, she claims that she didn't recognize him, that she just thought he was a cute guy from Southern Charm. But that doesn't make any sense because you also told us that your grandmother is the president of the Southern Charm fan club in the Bahamas. So these things aren't adding up. To me, by going on TikTok trying to clear her name, she actually muddied the waters more because it makes it more obvious that now you're making up lies because you're embarrassed a little bit that this whole thing blew up. It didn't go the way you wanted it to. You tried to latch onto Shep to get onto TV. You did. And now you're getting a little bit of backlash because people are watching you on TV. And now you're trying to clean up your mess. And
yeah.
So two things are true. I don't think it was a fun story. I'm going to hook up with a Bravo Leb. I think I'm going to try to get on this show. It didn't pan out. And now damage control.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know why. Usually I am actually very cynical about these things. So I would agree with you. I don't know why I'm not, though. I think I could just see it as like, this could be a fun hookup. Ooh, I can get on the show.
She literally said, I didn't recognize him on her video. She's acting as though
bullshit. Yeah, I think that's entire bullshit. I think both can be true. I don't know why.
You think that her grandmother being the president of the Southern Charm fan club, that she didn't have ulterior motives when she saw him on Raya?
From the start, I could see it. Yeah, I could see it both ways. But like for whatever reason, I'm gravitating more towards, oh yeah, I get to hook up with Shep. That's fun. And then I think she had the idea that she could get on the show. Maybe he was like just bearable enough for her that she could keep it going for long enough. But you know what? It's Shep, so there's an opportunity for him to just be a disaster date number one down in the Bahamas. And she's like, I can't do this now.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, we'll never really know the full story, but
no. Where are we going to get it from? Sienna? She's just going to lie about it.
Well, you think she's telling the truth, so now you're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not saying. I don't think she never said my theory. I just brought my own theory to the table.
Why?
But I can't have a theory at the table? Why not?
No.
Why not?
Go back to the kids' table. Go back to the kids' table.
First off, the kids' table is electric.
I know, it's much more fun than the grown-ups table.
So much more fun. That's the worst when you grow up to the adult table at the holidays.
Yeah, and people talking about like mortgages and shit, and interest rates, and like I want to talk about what the kids are talking about. I want to go talk about Moana too. You know, like what the fuck? But maybe we should do that. We should change the narrative of what it is to be at the big boy table or the adult table. We're gonna just talk about fun things again, like laser tag.
I do that anyway. You think I'm sitting down talking about mortgages? No.
That's why we're always destined to sit at the kids' table. But at least we're good self-evaluators.
But you know what? If you were at the table, you'd probably be talking about gardening. You talk about the home improvement stuff. You lean into that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the phase that I've entered into in my life. I just want to stay in my backyard and garden.
Table. Yeah.
If you want to hang out with me, you can come to my house and hang out with me in my garden.
You need a pool. Been telling you for years, get a pool.
Getting a pool. My backyard floods so much it would be full of like mud water.
It sounds like you've got an easy fix. Just dig a hole.
What? Oh, and just have like a flood water pool. Yeah, pool. You want to go swim in that?
I mean, that's the way that this world is turning towards, right? Everything's natural. We got raw milk. We got raw pools.
Yeah, this is my raw pool. Come on, jump into my raw pool. I never use chlorine because the parasites in here are good for your biodome.
You see that green shit over there? That's algae. You know what algae does? It cleans my pool.
Yeah, the algae eats all the bad things and your skin. Because we get one of the stranger love proclamations. He goes, he should lead off with love. Not... Sure. I am insanely attracted to you, and I'm also in love with you.
Like, should he lead with love, though?
I don't think so. He shouldn't say it. No. He shouldn't say it. The fact that he's proclaimed, they've hung out collectively like 4 long weekends, maybe 5. They haven't seen each other in a month and a half.
Dude, those weekends feel like a full week. That line cracks me up too. Wow, these long weekends really feel like 2 days longer. Okay.
Like Madison puts it perfectly. Like she's like, I feel bad for it. It's hard not to. And I think it's because you're watching him crash and burn in almost a majestic fashion. It's hard not to sympathize with the guy, but at the same time, it's like you kind of deserve this shit, so it's kind of funny. It's
I
this
don't even
weird
think
middle
it's
ground.
like I think sympathy. I probably lean a little bit more towards the sympathetic side than I do the "you deserve this," because
it's
I don't know
cringy.
why. I just keep forgetting about it. Yeah, I think it's just so cringy that it overshadows everything else. It's just it's tough to watch, but it's also really funny. It's the most complex feelings that I've gotten from Southern Charm, because I like feel like I want to feel bad for Shep, but also it's fucking hilarious because I could imagine one of our friends doing something like this, and it's like, well, that sucks, but it's really funny. And it would basically be like me and you or Austen and Craig just laughing at him. So I could see it, but like, do I feel bad for him? No, I don't know. It's complex. I don't know what to feel.
Hey, it's invoking an emotional response out of you.
Yeah.
So that's saying a lot,
Mostly humor, which, humor is an emotion.
It's something, but he brings up, where do we stand? Like, where are we right now? And she's like, we've never really defined what this relationship is. And he claims like, well, now I know. It's like, well, do you though? Because like she hasn't really said much. And the body language is all I could focus on this whole episode. How she stands around him versus how she stands around other people. The hug she gives him versus the hug she gives other people. He tries to walk into dinner with her and he's like arm in arm, but she like is like nudging away from him. You can see his hand pull away. I'm like, so Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's so fucking awkward. And she goes to sit down and he runs around the table to try to pull her chair out for her, which is painful to watch. And it's like, we are from the South. And watch, like, that's the good thing about this episode is everybody else on the cast is us at home. Making the faces, like cringing, like turning away, like, oh God, this is so bad.
I would honestly think that he's doing it just for show so that nobody else knows, like, oh, they think that he's in a good place and he's just embarrassed and he doesn't want them to think that she just doesn't want anything to do with him. But then he does something a little bit later with that text message that I'm like, no, you don't have shame. But like, it's a cry for help, but like, you don't have shame. So like, if you don't have shame, then you're not doing it the night before to like make things look good or make appearances look good. So I just don't know. I just have no idea. He's got to be in just complete like hell in his brain, just trying to go through all of this.
He's trying to rationalize things and make everything okay. He's trying to find a way through this, like a world in which she's actually in love with him. And he's doing mental gymnastics to get there. But I think a good litmus test for any relationship, if you're a dog owner, if the girl doesn't fuck with your dog, she ain't the one.
Yeah.
And she has said disparaging things about sweet little Craig multiple times now. And I don't care if he's farting on you. I don't care.
Yeah, I won't stand for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be no disparaging the dog here. And I think that's like I said, if you're dating somebody and you have a dog and that person doesn't fuck with your dog, get him out immediately. That's an immediate red flag. But Austen decides to step in and he's like, hey man, let's go to the bar. Let's go have a sidebar real quick. Let's get you out of here. You're not doing great. So let's go chat and we'll let these guys mingle. And I'm so happy that Madison's there because she does what she does best. She's throwing shade and asking questions without it being obvious. And she's pulling out the information that we all want to hear because she's like, I'm shocked to see you here. Not in a bad way. I'm just surprised to see you here because, you've been playing hard to get. And I will say this also, this is part of it, why I do have some more sympathy for Shep than I would normally. I'm more on the team of he deserves this than you are. Yeah. But the sympathy's coming from, I don't like her. She doesn't seem nice to me. Like she doesn't seem like a good person.
I think this whole scene just kind of screamed like, I'd rather just hang out with you guys and get my 10 seconds of fame.
Yes.
Because her response to, it looks like you're playing hard to get. And she goes, am I playing hard to get or am I just hard to get? It's like, oh God, that's a reversed line. You say that every time that somebody says you're playing hard to get, but in reality, you just kind of suck. Yeah. That's really what it is. But Madison, like you said, Madison's the people's champ. She's asking all the questions that we want. And she wants all the tea. She wants to get involved in all of it. And I love that.
I do too. And we need, like, it's so necessary, especially if you have somebody trying to infiltrate. You need somebody to root them out, and that's what Madison's doing.
And to be able to dig through the cringe that's going on here too, because I feel like everybody else just wants to shut up and just like observe. But Madison's able to just kind of push all that aside, push all the weird feelings that are coming from the table aside, and really dig in and ask some questions. Put her on the spot. I love it.
Much appreciated. But Sienna's response is even more confusing because she's like, well, I love him. He's amazing. We have a lot of great times. I'm like, well, it's easy for you to say that to the group.
Yeah.
But you can't say that to him, huh?
That was a platonic love.
I know that was a platonic love, but my point is she's able to respond to them so much more naturally than anything that we saw her say back to Shep. And that's another red flag. Like you said, she's showing up for the group, but you're not showing up for Shep. Not that you need to, but then don't string them along either, because you're doing both things. And it's just slimy because it appears to me, again, you're just trying to get on this show. Especially with that line. Like you said, that's clearly rehearsed. Like you drop that in there. You're like, haha, nailed it. It's like, nah, get out of here.
No.
But over at the bar, Austen's like, oh, I'm glad that Sienna came to dinner. And we're just going to lump all the bar scenes together so we don't have to keep jumping. This was a very frustrating episode to take notes on.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
There's a lot of split group shots here. But he's like, I'm glad that Sienna came to dinner. And he's like, so how's it going? Like, is everything okay? And he's like, well, yeah, like you'll be happy to hear that. When we were walking down here, I was like, I miss you. And she's like, well, I miss you too. Cut to the actual scene. Did you miss me? I'll see.
Yep. What? He doubled down too. And he said, well, I miss you.
I'm sure you did, is what she responded with, which is also shit. Like, she sucks. Shep sucks too. But like, you can't help but be on his team a little bit because you're watching. It's like the biggest train wreck that never ends. And you're like, it can't get worse. And then a chemical car blows up. You're like, it can't get worse after that. And then they run over a school bus. And then you're like, it can't get worse than that. And then they run into a nuclear power plant and they blow up everything. Did I go too far?
Yeah, I think you went too far just starting the analogy. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to get my point across. Did I paint a picture?
The chemical truck part of it hit a little close to home. We had a lot of that going on last couple of years.
Just keeping it relevant.
Yep. All right. That's what we do here. We keep it relevant.
Yeah, we keep it relevant. 3 years ago, relevant. But yeah, relevancy. But yeah, like it's tough. It's really tough. And Austen, because he knows Shep, is like, in a confessional, I need to see this conversation for myself. I need to see how they're interacting because he's telling me one thing, her body language and her attitude around him is telling me something totally different. So Sienna does let slip at the table. She's like, I thought that we vibed really well together because we're both into being non-committal. And Shep gets back to the table and Madison, people's champ, steps up again. She's like, yeah, she's telling me how similar you guys are. Like, she checks out and like, you're both non-committal. And Shep's like, what the fuck? Like, he goes, Jesus Christ. And she didn't say much. She just kind of smirked it off. But it's like, everyone else sees this. They're throwing shit at you. They're trying to get you to see it. And he's so blind to it. He's just so blind to this whole thing.
Yeah, it's just tough to watch.
It is. It is. And I thought we were going to get hit with like a big moment. Because the way that they said 12:30, I was like, "Oh shit, what happened at 12:30?"
I thought we were actually going to see them partying and having fun instead of just like
we always cut away from it.
I hate it. It's so annoying, and there's a lot of discourse about people, and I know people on the show are actually pissed about editing too.
Do you know what happened? Do you know what the rumor is?
Let's hear it. What do you got for us?
So allegedly, a different producer was brought on to Southern Charm this season. A producer that has a bad reputation here at Bros and Shows. A producer that we shall not name by his actual name, but Jermaine shall always and forever be Jermaine, because Jeremiah was brought on to this show. Allegedly, what happened is they got to this episode and did not like the direction the show was going in, and he was asked to step down and kicked off of the production team. I heard
Does that mean he got kicked off of the Valley production team too?
God, I hope so, because everything this dude touches, it seems to turn to shit. And this is not verified. This is an alleged. This is through the grapevine. I'm just telling you what I was told. But if this is in fact the same producer that ruined the Vanderpump finale, that ruined the last season of Vanderpump, if this is that guy, And he did it again on Southern Charm and took this direction with the show. Clearly, he is out of touch with what the audience wants. Why do we keep putting him on shows that are good? Why is he on good shows? The Valley doesn't need Jeremiah.
He might be a
I don't know.
baby.
I don't know, but Jermaine needs to fuck right off. If that's true, then he needs to stop being brought onto production teams because
you gotta go.
There's a common denominator there. I'm not a scientist.
Sure is.
Or a mathematician.
You're a Scientologist.
I am a whoa. No, don't you put that out there. But like I said, you get hit with that big 12:30 and it's like graphic buzzing and everything. And then nothing really comes from that. We just get to wake up the next morning. And you can tell Shep is fucked up because he is up at 7:50 running on the treadmill, doing push-ups. And he did do a move that I do. And it's hard not to. When you walk by the leftovers from room service the night before, especially if there's like pizza on that tray, you're damn right I'm going to pick up a slice in the morning. Oh, yeah. I'll take a little bite ski. Just a little bite ski.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I was still pissed off about that because they did flash around and they like showed the remnants of a good night. Like, why didn't we see the good night? We're going to see clips of it. They're going to flash back and just show us little bits and pieces of a fun night. I want to see the fun night, especially after Austen posted a whole reel of all this shit, like an entire Instagram slideshow of all the stuff they did that night. They were doing fucking water slides. Rod was ass naked laying down in his bed. That's funny. Everybody else was having a great time. The whole crew was getting back together. They're all having a fun time. We need to see this. We need to see them having fun together. We can't see them arguing.
We need to see the same scenes over and over again for half the season. And then we need to, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. That's what I'm saying. And if you think about it from like, if it is in fact the theory that was posited to us, think about the VPR finale, like the last season. They're always jumping to drama, negativity, bad stuff. We never get the reprieve moments. So,
and also like, and to talk about current events right now, Madison's pregnant. So this was like her last hurrah. She was drinking the whole time. We get a clip of her and Taylor getting along, which like, thank God that Taylor finally found some friends in this group. She took the right approach. Hopefully it stays that way because there's no real reason for her to be on the show if she's not friends with everybody. But we see Madison wake up the next morning and she's hungover as shit because she drank too much. I guarantee you what we got from Madison was a couple of drinks in. She's opening up, asking questions to Sienna, things that we need. She was probably a riot that night. Instead, we just see the remnants of the night with a little bit of leftover food. Shep working out in the morning. Do we need to see that? No.
No, but I think that almost paints a picture of where he's at mentally. The fact that he's doing good things for himself. It's like, oh God, you must be spiraling. This is not good.
I love running.
Oh shit, things have gone really bad. Shep's exercising.
He's taking care of himself. Oh no.
But to counter you, how's Madison going to ask Sienna questions? She left. She claimed stomach ache and bounced.
Tummy ache.
Her tummy hurt, so she had to go home.
She had big day
there's no
travel.
questions being asked.
She lives down there, but like it was tough for her to get over to that place.
It's so dumb, bro. So obvious. But even when she leaves, it shows the hug. That hug that she gave Shep tells you everything you ass out, one arm.
Side, yep.
Y'all be safe in there.
She did all of the cliche, like, don't touch me hugs that I've ever seen. Ass out, little from the side, one arm, keeping her face away, no kiss or anything. Just like the body language is insane.
The body language is really tough to watch. And to further your point, like the stuff that we missed out on, when Madison's lit, she's had 40 champagnes and she's sitting there and she just flat out says to Shep, she doesn't like you. Why are we not watching that? Why are we not?
Clearly, the cameras are in there the entire time that they're doing this. We see
they're still mic'd up.
Craig and Shep leave. They're all mic'd up. They're all having a good time. We see bits and pieces of what happens after where they're all getting along. And we get this clip of Madison saying, clearly she doesn't like you. If she left, she's faking a stomach ache. Why is that not a major scene? I just don't understand it. I don't need to see it in the weird gray color that they do for flashbacks from the night before. Like, just show us the goddamn scene. I just don't understand it.
I'm blaming Jermaine. It's fucking Jermaine's fault.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard it before. I think we were talking about it with Potomac when the downfall of Potomac was happening. And we were talking to Candace about it. And she's like, yeah, no, we had a lot of fun. But like, we have a lot of fun when we take our sound equipment off, when we get the cameras are taken away. We get to close the doors and actually let loose and have fun. We're like, all right, yeah, I get that. If you're on a trip, that's fine. Totally. But clearly they're all still mic'd up and the cameras are still there. So like, show us, you idiots.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. But
I'm claiming bad at it.
I am too. But
2
not
episodes
bad
in
at
a
it
row.
from
Bad at it.
the castmate standpoint, where they try to claim
Yeah.
bad at it because they did stupid shit.
Nope.
Bad at it from the production team, and we've
This is
seen
a
it
more
across the
important
board on
bad at it.
Bravo.
When we're calling for bad at it, that everybody should listen.
Well, yeah, because we call out the production side of it, where it's like you guys there's too many missteps here, and we have seen how production can fuck up a good show. And if I'm going to do more digging on this to make sure that I'm correct, because if that is what happened, like it does appear to be that he's part of the problem. But
I guess we could just watch the credits. Like the little credits at the bottom of the screen. You can probably see who the producers are.
I'll ask ChatGPT.
We just start doing that. Yeah, that'll go over well. AI is really ready to take things over.
Yeah, no, God, no, we're gonna get into Skynet Terminator. I'm not into that at all. I'll figure it out. I'll do more research. I'll confirm this theory to make sure, and then we're gonna blast it all over the airwaves. But Shep wakes up Austen. Hey man, I texted Sienna last night. Oh God. Oh God. What did you say?
Anything short of like, I'm not feeling this. I feel like the energy's off. Maybe we should take a break or just shut it down. Anything short of that is a bad move.
And even if it is to proclaim your love, just keep it short and sweet and as not creepy as possible. But no, he goes for, I love you. I know you feel the same way because I heard you say it from your perfect freckled lips. That's one of the worst sentences I've ever heard.
Yeah. Dude's
and Austen, once again, speaks for everybody. I'm cringing for you right now as he's like rolling over in his bed. I was literally physically cringing when he was reading this thing.
I was
cracking up. It was like,
you imagine like being Austen too, like the way in, like you've been on bros trips before, the way that you wake up in the morning, somebody gets up early, you might like have them like jump on you in bed. It's just like goofs, fun.
It's a dude.
But then you actually wake up and you hear this text message. That's the first thing that you hear for your day. That's got to be crazy. You're still like a little lit from last night too. You're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, you're marinating a little bit, and then you hear this is how you start your day. Now you need to start drinking immediately. Like
immediately, like go bring me a beer. You just made me listen to that. Go get me a beer.
Honestly, he should have walked in with a beer and said, "Drink this while I read this to you." Soften the blow.
Would have actually worked. I would prefer that for sure.
Yeah, dude. But he even says in this moment, she faked a stomach ache, dude. She faked a stomach ache to go home. And he's like, "What? No, come on." And we move on. We get flamingo yoga, which is fun. And then Vanita, Whitney, and Dr. Ryan arrive. But then we're back to Craig and Shep. And Craig checks in. How's the mind? How you feeling? And at least Shep is starting to be honest about where he's at. Up until this point, I think that he's been trying to mask his worry with like, everything's cool, man. Like everything's good. She loves me too. And he's like, I'm a shit show. But I did text her. And of course, as he's reading it, now Austen's walking down the stairs and has to hear it a second time. And she has not responded, right? She's still left on red. And Craig chalks it up. And he's like, hey, man, it's a good try. It's good. You left it all out there. Let's move on from this. Like, she didn't respond. She left with a stomach ache. You sent her a love note and she didn't respond to you. Like, the writing's on the wall, pal. This is not a real thing. And hearing him rationalize this one, this is probably the worst I felt for him during this episode. He's like, you got to put it all out there. Like, you got it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. He's like, I was being
to an extent, sure.
Yeah, you were. And yeah, you put it all out. You left it all out on the field. And, you know, there's no shame in that, clearly, for you, where there should be a little bit after sending that fucking text. But hey, you put it out there. He's like, if it's closure, then it's closure. It's like, that's not a closure text. That's not a closure text. That's an I love you, let's get married text. So, yeah.
I just don't get it. I mean, it just screams to me that Shep has never actually seen a closure text. He's probably never actually gotten closure based off of how he reacts to and acts around Taylor. He doesn't understand what closure actually is. No. I don't think that he is somebody who ever seeks closure. He just kind of leaves it where it is. You know,
he wants to leave the door open.
Things are where they are. Let's just move on with our lives, and maybe we'll circle back at some point. But you know, we'll see how it goes. He doesn't know what closure is. Clearly, after sending this text saying "I got closure," is closure the lack of response? Is closure, you know, her not saying sorry, I was sick, and you know, I'll see you today? Like, if he got that text and she just completely ignored the love text, which is pretty much what happened,
that is what
he
happened.
would just be like, okay, this works. Yeah, I'm fine with this. She clearly wants to hang out with me. It's like he's just so delusional at this point that it's just tough to watch.
It's, oh my God, it's so hard to watch, but I can't stop watching it.
I know.
In a way, rewound it and rewatched a couple of them because I was like, oh my God, no way. But we get a quick cut to the beach, which just felt like a foreshadowing moment to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little foreshadowing because JT missed his flight. He ended up hopping on another one. And Madison says, look, this is a fun trip. We've seen JT on vacation before. He fucked it all up. And then he proclaimed his love to Taylor. She shot him down. So he went on and tried to bamboozle Vanita on the beach and get her into him, that whole thing. So we know what he does on vacation. It's not great. And then he also claims that, Brett is questioning affairs. So he does a lot. He does a lot of stupid shit on vacation.
Yeah,
so
JT on vacation is weird. He's going to show up in stripes too, right?
He's got to. It's that same blue outfit because he's going to think it's canon. He's like,
probably a different color. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, never mind. I'm giving
guys,
credit. It's going to be the same shirt.
Look what I brought.
Or
I'll say Kane.
Olive branch to Madison. He buys her a shirt that looks exactly like that. Since you liked my shirt so much last year, here's one of your own.
This way, Brett won't question anything.
It is the shirt. He actually has it like given to her as some sort of like commemorative object.
He's going to make a dumb Brett joke when he gives it to her. Yeah. Like, hopefully Brett doesn't get
he'll look good in it.
Yeah, something along those lines where he tries to tie it all in. It's not going to land at all. But she says if he wants to fuck around, that's fine. I'm locked and loaded and ready. I'm like,
she is.
I've been waiting for a long time to see Madison go off again. It's been a minute since we've seen like full-blown Madison. So
she's warmed up. She had to go after Sienna the night before. She's ready to go. Dude. That was the minor league. She's ready for
that was light work. Yeah, she was just getting stretched out. Now she's ready to go. She's limbered up and ready to go. But we get back to the boys and just more signs, more red flags. But Sienna is going to go to the fish fry today because we have the split group. We got fish fry on one side, we got snorkeling on the other. Where are you going, Shooter?
Snorkeling.
You going snorkeling?
Love a good snorkel, yeah.
I love a good snorkel too, but that food looked fucking awesome.
Food looked great, but like you're in the Bahamas, you can probably get that food at a couple different places. I don't need to like make it. Although you know what? No, fuck. There was a bar crawl involved in the fish fry. I'm going fish fry. Yeah.
Because you know what you could do? That one bar's on a beach. You can find you a snorkel around there. There's no way there's not a snorkel within 100 yards of that place. Done it. Worth it. Scary. You definitely.
Why is my breathing off?
That's it. You definitely overestimate how long you can hold your breath, and you get put in some bad spots. I did it in Aruba. I was hammered. I was snorkeling.
Probably have like my goggles on incorrectly, and there's water seeping in, but I just don't know because my eyes are already like a little fucked up.
You know what I did?
What?
Oh God!
Opened your eyes underwater and got salt in it?
I did that a lot of times, but no, there was this crate. It was like a milk crate filled with cement. At the bottom, it was like,
oh, you told me this before. Yeah, you told this.
I thought it was like a treasure chest that I could pull back to land. I did that.
You were doing water aerobics.
And then Riley, my sister, her hat fell off by the boat, like the boat dock. I jumped off,
swam over and got it.
The dock was 7 feet above the water. I jumped off. I cut my foot on coral.
Oh, yeah,
that's got her hat. It was bad. It was really bad. It was not good.
Yeah. Did you ever have barnacles rip up your feet?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I also had a zebra mussel tear my fucking big toe off when I was up in the mountains this summer.
And now you guys know that Steel has 9 toes.
No, I still got this. Oh, I'm not doing. Yeah, you tried to trick me to show my foot. That's for
the mangled foot. Let's get gross.
No. But yeah, that was so. Yeah, maybe don't go drunk snorkeling. Maybe that's what we should tell people. Whoops.
But bar crawl. So I'm going bar crawl.
Okay, cool.
The whole thing with me is like anytime that they show the scenery, I'm like, oh man, I would love a Miami Vice right now.
I would just love to be down there, dude. Just
I can't drink it now. It's fucking
everything we're seeing now is just hot. It's just warm, and we're here, and it's so cold.
I think at some point in time, I was like, yeah, this is really nice to see. Like Summer House coming out in February. Great. Now I get to see warm weather. It's going to make me feel warm. Now I'm just pissed. I'm furious.
I am too. It's not great. It's not great. But we get back to Shep and Craig, like we were saying. And Craig questions, if she's not hanging out with you, then why is she coming to the fish fry? And in my head, I'm like, she's trying to cozy up to the rest of the cast to find her way into the spotlight somehow. And Shep's like, no, come on, man. Like, just be nice to her. Like, she's a good person. Like, just be nice. It's like, why do you care if we're nice to her when she's not being nice to you?
Yeah.
But
Like,
Austen,
it's just very clearly not one of those like, oh, like things aren't working out with me and Shep right now, but like I did say I would host them in the Bahamas. Like, none of that is speaking true to me right now. It's not like those are her intentions. Like, you know what? I did say I'd be here, so like I'm gonna just chalk it up and just I'll hang out with them, see Shep a little bit later, maybe just kind of like get back in people's good graces. No, it just seems like you want to be on camera.
that's what it feels like to me. Now, a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I know Austen's doing his best to support Shep through this. I think he's doing what he can to not trample on him while he's down bad.
Yeah.
But in this moment where he's like, Shep, I think that's a good idea. Is that him trying to be a good friend to Shep? Or is he tired of Craig's attitude overall? So he's just going against what Craig is saying.
I think he's going against what Craig is saying. I
That's
think
what I
you
thought
kind of
too.
see that where it starts. And even Shep says, like, you're supposed to be the emotional one. You're supposed to be the sensitive one. You're supposed to give me good advice. And it's like, what do you want him to do? I'm on
He's
Craig's
speaking
side on all of
logic.
this. This is what Craig does. Like, more than anything, Craig will speak his mind and tell you, especially if you're one of his friends. So it's not really that different than what Craig has usually been doing. So I don't think he's changing it up at all. But clearly there's some weird wedge between, and I hate it because, like, I get it, unless Craig and Austen sit down and have that whole powwow, which we're going to see probably next episode, maybe the episode after. I'm not really sure when it's going to happen. But like things would go back to semi-normal if you guys just act like everything's fine again and just kind of keep going. And maybe that's what Austen doesn't want. So he's just kind of standing against Craig. But you could see his face turn in this moment while Craig is talking to Shep, saying, dude, like, no, you have to fucking move on. He's siding with Shep just because he wants to be away from Craig, I think.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels like that a little bit later too when we get to the bar crawl or whatever. But Sienna calls Shep and makes this a very easy decision, a very easy conversation because she's like, I think, she starts it off with honesty. I thought she's like, it's just not like where I should be right now. I'm like, all right, at least. And she goes, and plus, I am super sick. I'm like, oh, fuck off. No, you're not. Like, nah, you started off fine. Just cut him loose.
She's like, I don't really drink alcohol that much anymore. It's like, okay, then don't. Like,
yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, grow up. And then Shep, she still has not acknowledged the text. She still hasn't said anything about a text. He wrote you a love letter and you called him to bail on the fish fry.
Yep.
And then you're not talking about the text message. So he's like, well, I sent you, that text was pretty intense. She's like, yeah, it was really intense. Really intense. Definitely want to talk about that. Totally want to talk about that. All right, well, we'll go on the boat tomorrow and we'll have a perfect day. And even the way he talks to her, I'm like, you're laying out a romantic setting in a romantic way. She just bailed on you.
Force it. Yeah.
With a tummy ache again. Let it go. Let this whole thing go. But
it just goes to show you, like, Shep's, for lack of a better term, his game in all of this, where he just thinks that like a romantic setting is going to trick her back into like seeing him as a romantic person.
Suppose.
But like, and look, you can be as romantic as you want, and like all of these things sound nice. She just doesn't care. She's not into you, bro.
Just not that into you, man. And it sucks to hear, but you know what? Again, it's comeuppins, and also, what more? What do you need at this point?
I know. I don't know what more he needs. You're in the fucking Bahamas, man. Like, just let loose, have some fun. You know what? This isn't working out. Do you really want to spend your time in the Bahamas unhappy? And that's kind of what everybody's saying to you. Do you really want this to ruin your day, your night, your next day, all of the things that we're supposed to be doing, all these things that are planned out? We're on a fucking TV show. Like, we're not paying for this stuff. We're going to have some fun in the Bahamas. Go let loose, have a good time with your friends. Like, why are you letting this weigh you down? Just let it go. Cut the dead weight.
I agree. And this is one of the first times we've seen the whole cast together. Not the whole cast. We haven't brought in the fun police yet. But the majority of the cast that we like actually having a good time together. Oh, and Lev. But Lev she's running Republic. Yeah, she's on Southern Hospitality now, as far as I'm concerned. She just comes back for little check-ins here and there. But
yeah,
they're having a good time finally. Like, go have fun, bro. Leave this shit alone. Just go have fun.
Although you could possibly argue that everybody else is having a good time because Shep is going through this. Like, it's a common interest that everybody can take part in and make jokes about.
So
and
it settles everything else down.
Yeah, I think everybody else is like, all right, well, we might as well have fun at Shep's expense, and we can have fun together and talk about it. Like, even Taylor's in a better place because he's going through misery, and she's
I know
cozying up to the rest of the girls. So I think it might be a necessary evil.
It might be. He might have to be the martyr for the group to find their way back to each other. And you know what? Maybe he'll take some solace in that after watching the season back.
Hopefully.
But to your point with Taylor, big strides over these last couple of episodes. It seems like she's finding her way back into the group, which I'm fine with. It seems like
fun.
she's and now that Shep is taking center stage with this shit, I feel like all of her nonsense has simmered down now, so she can just, we'll see what she can do without a big cloud hanging over her, so she can move on one way or another. So that's another good silver lining to come from this. But we get the Sprinter vans on the way to the fish fry, and they let the group know. Craig tells Madison, like, she wanted to go to this without Shep, and Madison, this is what I talked about earlier, is kind of where a lot of us are at, I believe, where she's like, I do feel bad. I do feel bad. But on the flip side, Shep interjected himself into my relationship relentlessly. And he's done that with a lot of people. And he's had opinions and comments about a lot of things. And he's also strung women along and shut them down and cheated on them. So it's like, it's hard to really feel all that bad. And I honestly think if it wasn't such a crash and burn situation, like really watching him flame out this hard, I don't know if people would feel bad. But he did himself a favor by being as cringy as he is, because it's impossible to not watch this and not feel some kind of sympathy towards him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. But also Madison has an ulterior motive. She is like a lot of us that are watching this. She wants Sienna to be there so that she can continue to ask more questions.
Definitely.
See where she is without Shep being there. And that is a take.
Well, she's on a separate mission. She's on a mission from Miss Patricia.
Yep. She just wants to get all the information so she can go back to Miss Patricia and have some tea in bed and talk about it.
And we want to watch that, by the way.
Certainly do.
Yeah, I do wish Sienna was here for this day. So I'd be fine with one more Sienna scene.
Just one more. Yeah, that's all I need. I don't want too much.
It'll get one more
too much. So,
but I don't want it to be only her and Shep. I want Madison there. I need Madison there. Let Madison speak. You know what, Shep? Set up the boat. No show. No call, no show, as they say in the food and bev industry. No call, no show. And have Madison on the boat.
I'm in.
Sitting like a mafia don with a big glass of champagne waiting, and go, come take a seat, Sienna. Come sit right here next to me. Let's have a little
And the funny thing is Sienna would be like, oh yeah, I get to go have a nice little private scene with Madison and OG. This is great.
And then let
Grandma's
Madison
gonna love this.
Loose. Let her go. Let all of the tough things that she's been going through come out in that moment. That would be, oh my God, it would be so good. But let's get to the fish fry. And the food, like I said, looked fucking phenomenal. And, Craig's talking about it because he did go down to the Bahamas for a little while. He's just recanting some stories. It's nothing crazy, but it is important what he points out later. If you watch pretty much everything he says, Austen has a physical reaction to it where he's like making a face.
I don't think it was about I don't think it was about him talking about his time in the Bahamas.
It was a lot about Shep.
It was a lot about Shep, and look, I'm on Craig's side. I don't think he said anything that was too far out there.
I agree.
It sounded like a friend that was just trying to talk to other friends who were interested in this. Like, hey, you guys all get the same feeling about Sienna, right? And he's just recanting his experience and saying, I don't trust her. I just don't think that she's here for the right reasons, and I don't want to see Shep go through this. So I don't think that he said anything bad, but it did seem like he was hyper aware of what Austen was thinking about him. I think that it started to turn a little bit when Madison started to talk about Shep and Sienna, and Craig told his side of the story, agreeing with Madison, saying, I just don't trust what she's doing here. For whatever reason, Austen, and I think it's just to be against Craig, started to be the ultra friend for Shep. Like, oh, no, we can't talk about this here. It's like, everybody fucking knows, man. We all sat at that dinner table last night. Everybody's going to want to talk about it because it's a hot button issue. We're all having a great time. The only weird part about this whole trip is Sienna. So we're all going to talk about this, and here's how I feel about it. So I don't like that Austen just feels that way, but I think he just doesn't like Craig right now.
And any little reason that he
gets. I get it.
He's been burnt by him for arguably the whole season.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't want it to go back to like, oh yeah, I'm just going to agree with Craig. Like everything's fine here.
I agree.
So I think maybe he just wanted push to become shove, if you will.
Perhaps.
Just trying to get to that point. Like, you know what? If I just go standoffish towards Craig, throw him a couple of faces, disagree with him, eventually we're going to have it out. And maybe that's what he wants, but but it's Austen. I don't think that Austen's thinking that far ahead.
I don't know. But again, like I get it. I understand why he's still frustrated. Like that's not lost on me. But in this situation, I like Craig's just trying to speak logic to Shep to get him over this whole thing so he stops groveling because it's a tough look. But we get to the post snorkeling and Shep is clearly struggling a little bit. And, you know, he's thanking Taylor for being there. And she's like, you know, whatever, this isn't my circus anymore. So it's not affecting me.
Right.
He skips a rock. The only real thing to take away from this is Molly. Yeah. Molly is still into Shep. Molly's trying to vie for his attention. I don't know how she's watching this.
I thought she was going to say, like, sometimes the answer is right in front of you, Shep. Like, that's what she's giving that whole scene. I was like, oh, Molly, what are you doing? Just stop. Enough.
It felt like a rom-com setup. Yeah. It's like, you know, they go to the Bahamas because this guy's in love with this girl, and it turns out to be too good to be true. It is Heartbreak Kid. Yeah. It is Heartbreak Kid. That's exactly what it is. Except
it's like, hey, yeah. Well, yeah. But like I really expected her to just start spouting out some cliches like, you know what? Maybe she's just not good enough for you, Shep. You deserve better. And sometimes better's right here all along. Like I expected her to do that. I would have cringed, but like I actually really anticipated her saying something like that and everybody being like, what the fuck, Molly?
That was the rom-com moment. I don't know. Maybe it would have worked. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on.
She gets up and tries to teach him how to skip a rock. Yeah, that is rom-commy. Very rom-commy.
That was, right? And then he goes to skip the rock, and as he's doing it, she's like, no, Shep, not like that. And then she goes to show him.
Yep.
And then she reaches out to grab the rock and touches his hand. And then he looks back at her. And then she says, sometimes the answer's right in front of you. And then they kiss.
Yeah.
Big kiss at the end of it.
Kiss.
And roll credits.
Now kiss.
Kiss them. But we get back to the fish fry. JT has made it to the Bahamas. And I love when they all go in on him a little bit. I wonder if he got his wings. I'm like, he probably did.
Yeah.
I bet he did.
Unaccompanied minor.
Yeah. And he went to the cockpit to go check out the cool mechanics and stuff, all the buttons. And he's going to tell everybody about it later. And he's probably wearing his blue striped shirt. But
absolutely.
We were going light on him until he fucked with Vanita. Now it's like, oh, fuck that guy. But Craig, again, starts talking about Shep. And he's like, you know, I hope he just doesn't spin out from this whole thing, which Austen takes as, I know what he's saying. He's implying that he's going to turn back to alcohol because of all this stuff. It's going to get out of hand. That's not what I got from it either.
No, I just think he was being a good friend. He's just trying to talk to other people. Like, this is what's going to happen. Like, the writing's on the wall. I had to hear that whole crazy text message this morning. Unfortunately, he's already spun out. So you can't say, I hope he doesn't spin out from this. He's already there.
He's currently spinning out.
He's concerned about it. It's not like I'm in such a better place in my relationship now. Like, looking back at this now, knowing what we know, we don't know what's going on. Him and Paige are probably already talking about how they want different things and if they're going to break up. We don't know what the hell's going on, but here we are. He's just concerned for Shep. He wants him to see what's going on. And I just think that Austen just doesn't view it that way. Everything that Craig says is just a problem for him right now.
Yeah, and it's funny. Production did Craig dirty this whole episode because anytime he said something that was like, you know, if you realize that she doesn't like you, like, you just got to move on. And they keep highlighting, like, he said a few things along those lines. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are alluding to something else. It's very obvious.
Sure is.
But they decide to do a little bar hop and a little island bar crawl, and they head to the bar by the beach, and Madison and Craig go to have a conversation. And this is a different angle. This is a different angle than we've heard because, like I said, Craig intros it with the whole life in Charleston. The group just seems fractured. I'm like, I'm glad you guys recognize it too, because we all see it at home. And she brings up Austen, and he's like, Austen hates me. And I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah,
this is different than
there's a little guilt there. I feel like,
it sounded like it. It sounded like he's like, Austen hates me. He does seem like he's actually feeling this. I was like, oh fuck, okay, new angle. And he's like, I know he loves me, but I say some things, and like he always makes a face. And they cut back to when he was talking, and he was making faces at the things that he was saying. And he's like, and I just want to like ask, like, why do you hate me so much? I'm like, okay, I agree with Madison that Craig has taken this too far. I don't think that he took it too far in this moment. I think that this is him working through his emotions. Yeah. Back in Charleston, he did. We talked about that already. Like he was kind of looking the other way at the things that Austen was saying. He was taking the wrong things from what Austen was saying because he felt like he was criticizing his business and his life, and he wasn't. He was criticizing his friendship. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you need. You need a fish fry. You need to get a little drunk in the Bahamas. You need to get the other guy drunk. And then you make them walk down the beach, which is what we're going to hopefully get next week. And it's time to talk about it. It's time to talk. The walls are down. It's beautiful out here. We got our feet in the sand.
Oh, yeah.
Hash it out. And we need, I didn't realize how important that friendship was to the dynamic of the show. Because without those
it makes
getting
sense.
along. Yeah.
I think it's just we had a couple of years where they were on very different paths.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of both ignored it, and we're now hitting ahead where it is affecting the show. It is something that we need to get figured out. And obviously they do figure it out because they do have a new business together, but we need to see it. And I think that it's important now that Craig in this moment, it shows me that he feels some guilt, and he's not going to say it because neither of them are ever going to just be able to just plainly say, yeah, you know what? I fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have treated him like that. Because they're both at fault at the end of the day. And hopefully that's what we get, where both of them take ownership of what they've said or done or whatever to the other. But I thought it was important because we've seen Craig this entire season just not taking any ownership. Just like, you know what? This is how it is. My way or the highway. I've grown up. If you can't handle it, then get out of my life. And we know that he doesn't feel that way, but now this is how he truly feels. He feels like, yeah, Austen fucking hates me. And I think deep down I probably shouldn't have treated Austen that way. I'm kind of doing some inner monologues when I'm going through all of this. And that's kind of where I am now. And talking to Madison about it is going to accelerate it, because Madison will immediately go to Austen and say, you need to go talk to Craig. And hopefully we get that next week.
I think we will. I think that was because we've seen clips of it. And I think they were definitely on a beach. And they were, I think, wearing the same thing. So hopefully we get that. But let's get to some questions. All right, let's see what we got here. Up first, it just furthers our point. So from Allie Hauser, despite their differences, are Craig and Austen actually both wrong about things? Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
they are.
Absolutely.
From Petra Van. Is this show only about the men? All the scenes with the ladies having fun are cut out. I agree. I think they had a really fun ladies' night last week, and we didn't get anything from that. And it was also a big moment for Taylor last week because she was out and about with the ladies, and they all had fun. That would have been good for her storyline. Would have been good to push her further on the show. So I do think we're missing out on some pivotal things. And I think that, again, if my theory is correct, we can point to one guy that's fucking everything up.
Mm-hmm.
I will confirm next week. What?
Whitney.
Oh yeah, he's fucking it up too. But
from Melanie Liage, probably wrong. Did Sienna lead him on, or is Shep a little delusional, hearing what he wanted to? Both, honestly. I think that Sienna knew what she was doing the entire time and realized that everything that she said, he was just going to take for word and just continue down a path as long as she led him there. But he's also been delusional because we've seen countless red flags, countless times that she just does not care about you, and he's not seeing any of it. So both are right.
I agree. Oh, I like this one from Angel Renee. Which Southern charmer or Sohoer, as you call them, would you want to back you up in a fight? Pick one from each.
Verbal fight or physical fight?
Physical. Fisticuffs.
Physical. Probably Bradley on Soho. And Craig on I don't know.
See, I'm going
he might just be disinterested.
I'm going Brad, and
I'm gonna go JT.
JT. I've seen JT try to fight. He gets up on bar stools and gets pushed off of them.
He would be great, like cannon. He'd be a good cannon fodder. Just like get out there and go fight him while I walk away.
Yeah, you could do that with him. But the one time that we saw him getting, he Zinedine Zidaned him in the chest. He headbutted Austen, and it didn't turn out well for him. So
no, it didn't.
Yeah, I would probably take Austen and Brad would be my choices. But anyway, that's all I got. Hopefully, like I said, this felt like a turning point. I think that will be made clear next week if we're on the right track now or not.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping so because I like this show. I wanted to get back to because I used to look forward to it. Now it's kind of like, Southern Charm's on tonight, and come on, guys, we got this. We can get this on track.
Yeah, most of the interesting stuff on Southern Charm is turned into the current events rather than the actual show. Which
That's really,
we need to get back to the actual show.
Yeah, I shouldn't be getting my updates, on Instagram. I want to watch them week to week. Good point. But you got anything else?
Nope.
Well, that's our show. Bros gotta go. Yo.